You've burned down your last orphanage, Daryl.
This will all be explained in the prequel. A prequel is a sequel that turns this into this, and it turns this into this. But at least Nintendo knows what's going on with their timeline, right? These games usually give more context to other games in a series, adding necessary information or backstory to important people, places, or things. Like why there's 7 of this guy, who this guy is, or that this guy used to be this guy. Prequels is the first word they teach you in Convoluted Storytelling 101. The second, third, and fourth words being Birth by Sleep. Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep came out in 2010 on the PSP and details the events that happened around 10 years prior to the original game, and that makes it a prequel. In the game, we're introduced to a new trio of characters. There's Terra, the brooding strong one that gets taken over by darkness later in the game. Where have I heard that before? There's Ventus, the joyful child with a good heart. Oh, I get it, it's like they're the same characters. And then there's Aqua. This game was made to fill us in on all the things the writers didn't know whenever they were making the first game. This is how a lot of prequels happen, actually. The people writing the game don't actually know the entire story until a later game in the series, so they have to flesh it out so the story can continue. This is why Kingdom Hearts up to this point can be summed up as the Xehanort saga, but he's not technically introduced until the 5th game. I say technically because technically this guy is Xehanort, and so is this guy, and this guy, and everybody's a Xehanort, okay? And that's why you gotta play the prequels. So, in Birth by Sleep, the game is split into 3 separate playthroughs, one for each character. Some of it's a little repetitive because the characters have to meet up at various points throughout the story, but you have to play through all of them separately to get the whole story. Terra gets Norded, Ventus becomes real sleepy, and Aqua gets lost in the Dark Realm. It's not a pretty picture, but don't worry, you'll fix it in the sequels. Not all prequels are written like that, though. Some are written just to build up on pre-existing storylines. Like if you had a twin brother that got taken over by the devil or something like that. Oh wait, that's Devil May Cry 3. For most people, Devil May Cry 3 is where the series really came into its own. Devil May Cry 1 was okay. We try to forget that Devil May Cry 2 exists, and Devil May Cry 3 was one of the best games on the PS2. The gameplay still holds up for a hack and slash from 2005. In Devil May Cry 3, you start off in Dante's shop in the city that doesn't even have a name yet. He's visited by this creepy dude who tells him that his brother wants to see him. He flips his desk and then he's gone. Some demons show up and you kill him, and then you head towards the big tower to fight Virgil. And you're gonna lose. And you're gonna get stabbed in the chest. But getting stabbed in the chest is a good thing in Devil May Cry, so you just get up and you punch your hand through a sword. You fight Virgil a couple more times, and you eventually beat him, stopping his plot to undo the seal to the demon world, and you live happily ever after. Until the events of Devil May Cry 1, because this is a prequel. That's a brief version of the story, but a huge focus of the Devil May Cry games is the combat, and it's really good. The 4 styles here really made playing through the games multiple times feel unique. Swordmaster would let you do air combos, Royal Guard gave you this insanely high risk, high reward block ability, Gunslinger let you do things with guns, and Trickster gave you new mobility options. The only downside is that you can only switch between them between missions, unlike in the 4th game where you can switch through them at any time. Years later, the on-the-fly style switching from the 4th game made its way to PC through mods, and was officially done on the Switch in 2020. But if I had to pick one, it would have to be the Switch version. The PC mod is updated regularly, but still has tons of issues, and crashes pretty often, so if you have the option, I'd go with the Switch version. But prequels are usually about the story, and we've got another entry from the masters of convoluted storytelling themselves, Square Enix. Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core tells the story of Zack Fair and how he came to be such an important character in the original game. He starts off as a soldier second class and is promoted pretty early on to a soldier first class. He eventually meets our boy Cloud Strife and gives him a case of irreversible trauma and mistaken identity. Or does he? Because apparently in the remake timeline, he actually lives through his final encounter, so no one actually knows what's going on at this point, and I'm going to mark this game as kind of unfinished. I won't talk much about the gameplay of Crisis Core because I think it's aged really poorly. They went for a mix between an action and a turn-based RPG, and there's an RNG element with the DMW gauge in the top left that serves as the game's limit break function, but I would have to say if they ever remake this game, they'll most likely just give us the same exact combat system that Final Fantasy VII Remake has. But through all the prequels and all the stories, no timeline is quite as messed up as the Zelda timeline. Forget it.